Welcome to another edition of Legal Quilts. Today we're going to do something called basic Bargello. It's pronounced Bargello. I've heard Bargello. I don't care. There's no quilt police. But the concept is the same, okay? Whether you pronounce it Bargello or Bargello, it's the same thing. And what we're going to be working on, although I'll explain how this is actually going to work. I had this really cool panel. It's a Northcutt panel. And you can kind of see, but there's a reindeer on here made out of snowflakes. Okay? And I decided, I had him upside down. There we go. I thought that looked wrong. You can see now. There's his antlers, there's his head, there's the reindeer. And it's got all these snowflakes on here. So I thought it would be really cool to make these Bargello blocks. Let me bring it in a little closer. With snowflakes, as you can see. So with the wavy pattern you get with a Bargello, you kind of see how it goes up and down. You can kind of see it, especially with the dark. It goes up and then down. And if you put a whole bunch of these blocks together, what you get is kind of a wave pattern. So it goes up and down and up and down and up and down. Okay, so it kind of looking like snowfall. I've done one where I made a whole quilt out of just leaf blocks, so it looks like, and turned them sideways, so it looks like the leaves are falling. So we're going to be working on that quilt throughout work in progress winter, because I started the blocks, haven't finished it. So I got to get moving on that. But today we're going to be making something more like these mats, okay? Just single blocks laid out. You can see, especially like follow the blue stars, see how it goes, and then back up, and you can see the red stars and everything. And then I did it slightly different with this one, with the solids and only one print. So that's what we're going to work on today, because I've already cut the ones for this block, and I wanted to start more back at the beginning of how do you get the pieces cut. So I decided I wanted to do a beachy mat, because I am holding on to summer with my fingertips. My fingernails are scrabbling on the cliffs of summer trying to hold on. So I decided to use some more oceany fabrics, and you can see I've arranged them from light to dark. When you're using prints, it doesn't really matter how you arrange them, because you can tell which print is which, okay? And it doesn't matter if you just mix them up, arrange them light to dark, whatever. I kind of also did them light to dark on this one, but as you can see here, there's really no light to dark. It's red, white, and blue, and then a print. So however you want to arrange those is up to you. Now, you can do, and again, this is all different prints, so it doesn't really matter how you arrange them. If you're doing it, though, all solid colors, like something like this in Ruth Berry's book, you're going to want, all your colors have to be arranged a certain way from light to dark. Otherwise, you're going to lose that movement in there. We're not going to do anything nearly as complicated as this. This is from her book, Braided Bargello Quilts. And as you can see, there's all this movement all over them. These are really lovely, but we're not going to do anything near that complicated. We're also not going to use nearly as many fabrics. She uses, let me see, well, sometimes 8, maybe 15. We're not going to use that many. This one only uses 5. I chose 6 today just because I felt like it. You can use any number of fabrics, although you got to have like at least 3 or 4. You can go up to 12 different fabrics or 15. It's just remember that you're going to be working with longer pieces and wider pieces. I prefer to keep them really smaller and then piece them together So you don't have as much color play by using more fabrics, but you get more waves because as you piece them together, you're getting the repeat over and over, but you're getting the multiple waves of them. Whereas if you're using enough, you only want to make something 24 inches and you use 24 fabrics, you're just going to get one up and down. You want a lot of movement. That's really what a bargello is, all right? So the first step, and I kind of skipped over this because y'all should know how to cut and sew at this point. And it is all just pretty much basic. You cut 2-inch strips with the fabric, okay? And then you just sew the lengths of the fabrics together so that you have 6 2-inch fabrics across. Otherwise known as quilters who take perfectly good fabric and cut it into pieces and sew it back together. All right, the next step when you've got these sewn together is you fold it up lengthwise, right sides together. So you kind of get a tube, all right? You're making this tube, and you don't have to pull it the whole thing together, because what you're going to do, and I don't know how much you're going to see this on the sewing machine, but again, it doesn't matter so much today, because all you're going to do is where these come together, you see where my light, this kind of the one with the starfish fabric on it meets this dark blue coral. You're just going to sew down that line using a 1/4-inch seam allowance. You're just going to sew your tube together, completing the circle. So when you're done, you have this circle of fabric, okay? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move the camera a little closer, but I'm not sure how much you're actually going to see. But again, this is just a straight line sewing down it so you get your tube. Making sure your edges match. Match that corner up. There we go. And just sew it. Okay. It's the other reason you don't want to have like 14 fabrics here, because when you fold it over, you've got all that fabric and you got to match it up and everything. Pedal. And then you just sew it down using your 1/4-inch seam allowance, just like always. Okay. And again, it doesn't matter your order of fabrics here for this one, because again, you're not doing any, they're all different, so it doesn't matter. And today, we're not going to get into, we're only going to get up to cutting from here. And I'll explain that in a second. All right. So go in, find something. This is such a fun thing to do, and honestly, once you get the prep work done, which is, this is all the prep work, preparing your colorways. It's called a colorway because you usually do it, light to dark in one shade. And that can be pretty and fun, but it's also has its problems. If your colors are too close to each other, you might, when you're putting it together, get them in the wrong order, and then you have to start all over. And I've done those. I did a beautiful one of a beach quilt, an ocean quilt, where I used blues for the ocean, and then I put a few blocks of brown at one end. I did those separately. I did all the blues, and then I did all the browns across the width. So, an ocean beach quilt for a friend. And I'll post that picture again on Instagram, my Instagram page, so you can kind of see what a full quilt with multiple colors looks like. But this is just going to be a couple of mats for my house. And so I just wanted to do a beachy theme. So, all right. I hope I get it right back where I need it so you can see what I'm doing, okay? Forgot that stuff. All right. So you've got your tube now, all right, that looks like this. This is fabric 1, this is fabric 6, okay? My starfish is 1, this is 6. You want to keep track of that. Again, because once you start putting these pieces together, you want to know which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever number you have. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you don't keep track of which one is which, especially if you're working with something where they're really close to each other, you see that fabric kind of is close to that one, although fortunately this one does have a very light design on it that you can tell. If they're too close together, you might mix them up. Cut a little piece off, attach it to an index card. This is your color card, okay? So you know which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want to keep that straight. Now, the next thing we're going to do, as soon as I pick up my rotary cutter, is cut the tubes, all right? This is the most important step here. Now, you can cut these various in different sizes. Like I did these for the snowflakes. I did, let me see, can't remember what sizes I used. 2.5, I think I did 2.5. These are, okay, why does that say 2.5 also? I think I did 2.5 to 1.5 and 1. And there's got to be another one. This is another one where it's really, really important that you label what your sizes are, because right now I'm looking at this going, why are these different sizes? And so I'm going to have to go back through and measure everything to sort this out. These are my, I didn't go, that's my 2-inch. I don't want to go any lower. Oh, I know what I did. I cut 2 sections of each because when I lay them out, you're going to, as you do them, I'll explain that next time. But this time we're just going to, but label your sizes. If you're cutting in different lengths, label your sizes. It shows up a little better on this one. You can see these aren't all the same size. We've got 2-inch, 2.5 inch, 2, that's still 2, 2.5, 1.5, 1. I think I don't usually go much lower than that. That might be 3 inches. That could be explaining it. 3.5, 2.5, 2, and 1.5. We know I don't go much smaller. I've seen ones where you're working with like 1/2 inch. I don't do those. If you can sew that much smaller with small pieces, that's fine. But for this block, we're going to be, for this mat that I'm making today, we're going to be boring as all get out. Okay, first things you do. Now, it's okay if your ends here at the end, they don't all have to match up. But you want your front end, put it on a line. Ugh, that was just the battery falling off because I forgot to turn on my other light. Oh, well. So you just square up that end by putting it on a line and putting your ruler and cutting off any little bits that stick out. Again, we're going to do this one the simple way. We're not going to have multiple sizes. We're just going to have a very simple mat of up and downs, okay? We're going to cut all of these 2.5 inches. Did I say 2 inch? These are 2.5 inches that sew up to 2 inches. I always get that confused. I'm sorry. But you cut your strips, your width, and you're usually starting with 2.5 inch strips no matter what sizes you're making, okay? For some reason, your colorways are always 2.5 inches. You can go bigger. It'll give you bigger blocks. So feel free, but I use 2.5 inch strips, and this one I'm going to cut right there on the 2.5 inch line, okay? And I'm hoping you can see what I do, all right? So you're just going to cut your tubes, cut your tube. You have to figure out how many tubes you need and all that sort of things. We're just using 1 tube for this because it's just going to be a basic mat. If I have to, I'll cut some more to make a second mat. But for this, examples, We just got one tube, and you cut it like that, and you actually want it, yeah, hold it so that your number one piece, there we go, there we go, so that you go 1, 2, 3 up front and lay them all like that. You want your first one, your first piece, your first fabric always on the top, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? You always want it laid out like that, all right? And you just keep cutting these 2.5-inch pieces until you've got as many as you need, if you know how many you need. And I'm going to need 6 per mat, okay? I need 6 per mat. So I've got 3. Because we're only going to do, I think, 1 run. No, I think I'm going to do 2 runs. Yeah, you want 2. Up, down. So I actually need 12 per mat. So I'm going to have to cut some more. But I know I do this as I'm talking. I should figure out all this stuff before. I know what I need. Is just doing it. I know what I need. It's explaining it to y'all. All right. But I'm just going to stop here today because you need, okay, that one's not full. There we go. It's so important. Keep them all the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because of the next step that we'll do next time. I just wanted to get to the cutting because that's where I am on this project. Okay. I've got them all cut. So I've got my tubes all cut. So I'm going to show you what to do next time. Next time we come back to this quilt, what to do with your pieces that you've cut. Again, remember, label if you're using different sizes so that you don't have to go later. Is this my 1.5 or my 1 inch or whatever? You want them laid out and labeled. I'm not doing it for this because, again, they're all going to be the same size, all right? So that's this first step. This is the prep. The next step is sewing your pieces together to make your blocks, and we'll do that next time, okay? So that's it for Legal Quilts. Thank you for listening. I hope you made it all the way through. The next video we'll be continuing our tapestry quilt, so make sure you've got all your strips sewn together into one long piece for each color, like I explained last time. Also, Christmas is coming. I've got a lot of things up on the website that would make great gifts, great host or hostess gifts. Got a lot of table runners and mug rugs. Those are great just to bring to a party and say, hey, thank you to your host or hostess. I've got some mats too that are also great to do that. These mats are up there, but they're kind of 4th of July. But hey, plan ahead, people. They're listed separately, I believe, but feel free to buy both of them. Let's see. So check out the website, especially with Christmas coming, and get in soon because of shipping, and you know the post office gets overwhelmed this time of year and it gets worse than usual. So plan early. Other than that, check out my Ko-fi page. Again, it'll be everything for the tapestry quilt is free on there. You can just go in. You don't have to sign up for anything. But if you want to help support and help me keep me doing these videos, please kick in a few bucks. It's always appreciated. As always, hit the like button. Share this with your friends. The more subscribers I get, the better. I'm getting there towards 500. I'd love to hit 500 by the end of the year. So please share this with everyone. Comment. I want to hear your comments. Constructive criticism is always appreciated, but don't be the quilt police. I might not do something the way you do it, okay? That doesn't make my way wrong, but it doesn't make your way wrong. We're all doing this for fun, all right? So, and I said I'll post a picture of that big old it was a king size quilt, biggest quilt I ever did, that I did in Bargello in blues and browns, and it looked lovely. I'll post that on Instagram, so please check that out. It's all under Legal Quilts. Other than that, I will see you next time.